Great.
Should be good to go.
All right. This is the mayor-manager meeting on the 29th of September, and it's 12:02. In the Teams meeting room is Linda Olson, Allison McKinney-Brown, Stephanie Carlisle, Shawn Lewis, and Jade Truscott-Reed, right? Anybody else? Oh, there's my participant tab. Did I get you all?
Yes.
All right.
All right. Well, we'll get started with October 5th. Is our next meeting. We're going to have a couple of study session items, a presentation on the special election. Okay, hang on. Downtown Development Authority information update, yes. And then we'll also have the presentation from Innovative Housing Concepts and time for Q&A on that. So we've already assigned time limits to that. Does anybody see a need to change those? 20 minutes for downtown and 15 for Housing Authority?
I don't have a discussion time for the Housing Authority. Would you like to assign that?
Yeah, we'll need more than 15 minutes total for that one. I think there's going to be a lot of questions. So my hunch is that we're going to need at least 20 minutes to 30 minutes.
Sounds right.
I'll just throw in there too. And Mayor, I just want to make sure you're okay. Dan Poremba has requested that their discussion go first. And so I told him I would bring that up at this meeting.
That's fine.
Okay.
So
one of their people has to be at another meeting at 7 p.m. So they were hoping, and it's usually the one, I guess, that would field a lot of the questions.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. Maybe, do you think we can get this innovative housing down to 20-minute discussion? Do they think it has to be 15 minutes for their presentation?
I can check and see if they can do it more briefly. Is that what you're thinking?
Well, if they could do it in 10 and we could have more time for conversation, then we could have a full 30 minutes to the whole thing. But I don't know who. I mean, I think some people it's new to. I know there are going to be some questions by a few council members.
I suspect they probably could take the 15, but we can tell them to limit it. They were thinking that because there are so many members that aren't familiar with the Housing Authority, that they would do kind of a little primer and then follow that with what have you accomplished this year and what do you plan to do next year.
Okay, let's just do that, and then let's allow 20 minutes for discussion.
Okay.
Questions.
Sounds good. All right, and then next is the good in recognizing the good in Inglewood honorees and frame the art for the plaques that they did for them. That should be really quick.
Tell me how is that going to be similar to what we do in a regular meeting where we do a big recognition? Obviously, there's no pictures or anything like that, but how are we going to do this? Is Brian Hart coming? Are we actually honoring him and thanking him for doing this, or what is it?
So our plan was to, and Stephanie or Jade, correct me if I'm wrong, is to have the folks on the call, and then you'll just read the names. And I don't think that there's a need, well, and Chris or maybe it's Madeline, will be giving just a brief thing of what they did that was good. And then I guess maybe you can just make some comments. Jade, did you have anything on
that? What you said is the last that I heard. I haven't heard anything else other than that, so I don't have,
And then we would, the staff would also just say what Brian DeHart had done. I'm sorry, Brian Hart, Frame DeHart, had done. And then, yeah, I guess maybe Mayor, you would just say a few words of thanks. I'm not sure. This is new territory for all of us.
And I can reach out to communications again just to clarify their vision if you would like.
That'd be
why
great.
don't we just have them do a script?
Yeah, I was going to say that. Great idea. Just a quick bullet point script would be fine.
Will do.
And then we have on consent possibly the resolutions that are supporting the various ballot measures. Is that okay with you, Mayor, if those go on consent?
Let me weigh in on that. These resolutions of support are the only real way that under the Fair Campaign Practices Act that the City Council can make a statement of support in front of any ballot measure. So if you put them on consent and they're hidden, it kind of defeats the purpose of putting them forth to educate the public.
Yeah, let's. I think this is an unusual thing to have ballot measures. We don't have them very often, so let's do this. Put them on regular. Maybe Allison, if you could give any directives for council, because they may feel nervous about saying anything.
Yeah, I'll be happy to. They're allowed to make the same kind of statements about these resolutions as they would about any resolution.
Okay.
All right, and then next we have the approval of change order with TerraCare. This one we're not looking forward to because our contractor, the landscaping contractor, went over budget on this, and so we have to do a change order for this one.
How much over?
Do you have that, Jade, in the notes? No.
I can double check the agenda item really quick if you would give me one moment.
That's okay. I'm just wondering if it's a big amount or.
I don't think it's a huge amount. I think it just exceeds that, percentage that we have to get you guys to look at that again. So we had staffing changes, 2 different people that we were, in essence, it ended up trying out to take over the management of that. We now have someone who's got a lot of contract experience and they're doing really great. But in that interim time where we went through, I believe, 2 different coordinators for that, we had one of them that was not managing that contractor very well.
Okay.
So,
I was able to find that amount if you would like.
yeah, what was that?
24,000, little over that.
Yeah.
And then the next thing we have is the first reading of the budget, and then first reading of the floodplain regulations, the first reading to adopt amendments to the Energy Conservation Code, Electrical Code, and Mayor, we were going to ask you on these if you were okay putting these on consent, or if you'd like those to be all the amendments.
I apologize. I had reminded Karen to maybe seek direction from council as to whether these if council would be comfortable. I know, Mayor, you wanted us to get that input, and I don't think that happened last night, so I apologize for that.
Was that in the memo and I missed it?
It's okay. You just wanted us to remind you, and I had reminded Karen to make sure, and I think just after all the, I think it just got missed. So we did look back at how this was handled the last time, and it was by consent. Okay. But I didn't know what you think about it.
I think let's put them all on. If somebody wants to pull one, I think it's going to be more of the, well, we have one that there's a question about, right? Which is the manager's. So how does the not waiver, but what do you call it? The one that
the Board of Appeals, what the Board of Appeals process is.
Yeah, I think that was the major one. Can these all be broken out so that one?
They all use the same Board of Appeals. And it's the same one that's always. Nothing about that has changed. I think the question. It falls a little bit differently under the fire code, how the Board of Appeals will play out under the fire code. And the only other question was whether or not the interim fire chief for Denver was comfortable making any kind of review of our proposed code amendments, which is really minor. So I think those are the only two outstanding questions, and they both came to the fire code.
So how could we do this? I mean, I guess that could be could that be in the front memo for all of this? Saying here are the answers to the two major questions posed.
I think that's a great idea. These are such standard documents, and there's so many of them.
Yeah.
I'm with you. If there's any way to put it on consent, just let people pull them. And the information that they asked for at the meeting last night, I'm happy to help Karen put into the memo for council.
Yeah, is it, so this is weird. Is it possible to, when we get to consent agenda on this one, say we do know there are a couple questions that were asked, and so we want to answer those now, and then take all these on consent, unless you have a problem with any one of them. We do it like that?
Absolutely.
Let's do that then. So answer those questions up front and then take all these on consent.
Great. All right.
Sorry, just making one note. Thank you.
And I apologize for missing, because if it was in the memo and I read it on Friday and I unfortunately printed it off to you and made notes, and then I left, I wasn't feeling well, I went home and I left my notes sitting here. So then on Monday I didn't have them. By the way, I tested negative for COVID today.
Nice.
I'm done.
I think we can, put it in the memo so that people, council can be aware that, they're on plan for consent, and then we can pull any of the individual ones as needed, so.
Right, can we do both though? Can we put it in the memo, and then also can we, when we
Sure.
do whatever the number is for consent that night, to say, just wanted to highlight these two questions that were asked? Otherwise, there wasn't anything else of concern, I don't think.
Right. Yeah, you can call for a staff presentation even on things on consent, and keep them on consent, I think was what Allison was indicating. So
Yeah.
if at the beginning of before you read the item, just say, we had those questions, they were answered in your memo, but staff is here to present if as needed, and then keep them on consent. And then you can also, of course, pull each one of these off individually if there's a question on a specific one.
We just haven't done it quite like that before, so I just want to make sure that you're all okay and it wouldn't be weird for you all. So let's plan on it like that. I think that'll work fine.
Okay. And then moving on to October 12th, we just have two items right now. One is the city center redevelopment update, more on the financial side, and then an update to the City of Inglewood ethics policy. And then October, did you have a question on
that? Just that my hunch is that the conversations, how long do you think the city center redevelopment, it's a 30-minute presentation and it's going to be, okay. And then discussion, I would expect that that's going to be 30 minutes. Don't you think? Agree. 30 to 45 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Would you like me to put 45 for now?
Yeah. And then the ethics, 20-minute presentation. Is that, Allison, what you think? And then I'd say that's going to be a good 45 minutes to an hour. Do you think?
I would give it at least 45 minutes for discussion. I'm going to send it out early, as I said last night at the city council meeting, and see if I can get any members of the council to respond. But I do think a big part of this is going to be discussion amongst yourselves about what it is that you want or need from that document. So.
Yep. Okay, good.
All right, moving on to October 19th, we've got the citizen survey results. We'll have them back by then. Recommendation to award contract to HS3 for the installation of security cameras here at the service center as well as civic center. Award of contract for engineering design for the interchange at US 285 and Broadway. Approval of a contract with Keeson Landscaping for Eve Properties. award of a contract to TerraCare for landscaping and ground service maintenance services, also for EVE. Approval of a contract with Vet Securing America for 1-year contract extension with them for EVE security. So 3 EVE contracts there. And then we have the model traffic code adoption and IGA with the school district for joint services. And Allison, was this the one that you said you're still waiting on
an attachment? Yeah, that came back to us from the school system without an attachment, and I'm not sure that the school system has created the attachment yet. We reached out to them last week because I know the council is not going to want to see this without the associated attachment. So I think for now, let's leave it on there. But if we don't have the attachment back by the time we need to get this particular week's agenda finalized, I'll pull it.
Okay. And Mayor, just for a little more context on this one, you may remember that we have been trying to, over the last several years, manage, I don't remember how many contracts. I actually asked legal to pull all the IGAs with the school district, and I got a huge stack of paper from over many years and amendments to old ones. Wendy Rubin and I decided to create one master agreement where we were really incorporating all of those multiple over the years. We'll be striking old one, or this will replace all of those while incorporating the same principles that were in them, but doing away with the ones that are outdated but are actually still more or less in effect. So I think it'll really kind of clean up and standardize our relationship with the school district in a more concise and comprehensive way.
So is this something that Allison, you and the school's attorneys work on together then, or how does that work?
No, these IGAs all started with the city. So when the idea came up to make these updates, I pulled all the IGAs from the city and started putting them into a single document. But when I sent our draft over to the school district, they did make 2 or 3 changes, 2 of which didn't matter to me at all, but the third was the statement of this attachment A. So they've already approved it. It's just they don't have an attachment A yet.
But Linda, the details of the agreements were really worked out at the staff level. So Dorothy and I did negotiated with Wendy and her team for a couple of meetings, and then it went to kind of first line supervisor or next level supervisors that did some negotiating. So the details are like how we use the stadium, how we share, facilities, how they use our facilities. All that was worked out at the staff level, and then Allison and her team, worked those details into the IGA.
Okay, that makes sense. Good.
All
Anything
right.
streamline and make it less complicated for communicating and agreeing on things.
And knowing what the heck happened when, yeah, hopefully it'll make it much easier to find things.
Yeah.
And we actually found on both sides that we weren't doing things we were, committed to do. We were supposed to create some fund to help pay for this, and they were supposed to give us access to that. And it was so complicated with all those agreements, you really couldn't keep up with them.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad it's streamlining. Remind me, who's on our school liaison? Is it Nathaniel?
Nathaniel and John Stone, I believe.
Okay. Has that group met?
We actually have a meeting next week.
Oh, great. Yeah. Super.
And let's see, next items. Oh, that's the last thing for that meeting. Moving on to October 26th. We have September 2020 financial review, and then we'll also have Title VII. These are all study sessions. Title VII, public aid, mutual aid for emergency response. And then we have a US 85 planning environmental linkages study update from Maria. And then a study session to review utility billing software vendor selection. So we'll be giving the staff recommendation on who to go with for that.
Okay.
Any questions on those?
Nope.
Okay, November 20th, November 2nd, we have public hearing vacation of a right-of-way for Swedish. Easement agreement with Colorado Water Conservation Board for Big Dry Creek Diversion Project. Motion to approve utility billing software contract. And that's all for that meeting.
So the vacation of a street. Oh my gosh, which one?
This is the one that you may remember that there's one house almost in the center of Swedish's campus. It's internal to the campus, and Swedish had been trying to acquire it for, I don't know, years and years, I'm told, and eventually 10 or so years ago came to an agreement with the homeowner, who was I think a widower maybe, who owned the home, and he agreed to sell it in exchange for getting to live there for the rest of his life. And so I think a year or two ago, he passed away. And so Swedish owns the property. The street only serves his house.
Okay, I think I know which,
So
I
It's
remember
not a
this.
through street. It's literally only serving his house. So
Yeah, okay.
Allison, am I describing that as you understand it?
Yeah,
Maybe not all the details. I mean, I don't know if you're aware of all those, but that's the story I've been given.
I know this one, yeah. Okay. Just
And
say,
then last but not least, a motion to approve the contract for Inglewood Trolley. So hopefully
that's right.
there.
Have we heard anything from RTD? I did not call that guy. I need to do that.
No, we have not heard anything back from them, so those talking points would still be.
Okay, good. I got to put that on my actual calendar here. Okay.
All right, moving on to November 9th. The only thing we have on that meeting is board and commission interviews. November 16th, public hearing on the Grant Street right-of-way. This is the one that came and spoke to council, or the gentleman that wants that vacated. And then we'll have first reading of the vacation of the Swedish one. And then a motion to approve contract with the MV. Again, that's tentative. That's assuming that we get our commitment from RTD on paying for that, or their portion of it. And then moving on to November 23rd, we have the financial update for October. December 7th, we have a vacation. That'll be first reading of that vacation for the Grant Street right of way. So, and if I could, Krista has sent me well, first of all, any questions on any of that?
I just wanted to throw something out there really quickly. I think that there was some discussion from staff as to whether there will be a December 21st meeting this year, just for planning purposes. In the past, sometimes there is a meeting, and then sometimes it's just the dinner and there's not a meeting. So we weren't sure for planning purposes.
I don't want to make that decision alone. So I don't think I think we've always done the dinner and then had a regular meeting. I don't ever remember not having a meeting afterwards. So, but
okay, so your hunch would be we probably are proceeding with the meeting that night.
Yeah, but let's keep really, really light if we can at all. That would be nice.
Yeah. Okay, and then I had two
around in December this year without a trip to Belize. Sadly.
Yeah. We did have 3 council requests last night, and then actually we had 4, but one was by email. We had single hauler trash and Title 16 meetings, asking if those are recorded, so we'll probably just combine those 2. And then the Sleepy Hollow contract, copies of the contract, who's getting paid, copy of the original contract as well, if there is one, and then how much sales tax will be generated from that. So, and then the one that I got from Councilmember Cuesta was based on a resident who reached out to council, I think over the weekend, asking about a group home in a neighborhood. So he's asked for some information on that. And so those 3 council requests will be entered today.
Great.
And then if I, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to move on to the survey that we did on study session. So go ahead.
So could I add one to it? And maybe we had this in a how Airbnb or short-term rentals, what's happening in that world right now for us. If we get an update onto applicants or anything.
We actually are now putting those, I don't know when the last one was. We're trying to do it monthly in the Friday update. That's under the community development section.
That's
But
what
I don't know if that was in for last month or not. So let me check that and we'll send you something.
Yeah, that I know I'd seen it somewhere, but I wasn't sure. Do we have a dashboard? We don't. It probably went in your Friday. Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen one of those in a while either. So we'll do CR on that. And then if it's all right with you, can I share my screen and show you the survey results?
Yeah.
Let's see, use this version. All right, can you see that?
I can. It's, yeah, there we go.
Is it really, really big, like too big?
No, it's absolutely great.
Okay.
Fine.
So these were the ones that council members, I think we had the 4 results on this that wanted, and so just again, reducing speed. You know, now that I've opened this up, I'm realizing I brought this up last week, didn't I? But Mayor, with your consent, we would just go ahead and put these for sure the hundreds and probably schedule the 75s.
Yeah, that sounds good. I think it's, yeah, a lot of this is about safety.
Right. And I think you had suggested last week that we do combine some of these. So
Yeah.
tomorrow during our leadership team meeting, we'll talk about how we can combine some of these and get those scheduled. So, and then just a reminder that the ones of high importance, which were at least 50%, at least 2 council members said that these were important. Here's the list for those as well. Again, I think there's some ability to combine some of these.
Well, and some of these will go in the Title 16 conversation, won't they?
Right.
I mean, we can't really talk about these without having to talk about 16.
Sure. All right.
It
Well,
would
just
be
to
helpful.
remind everybody about that.
Yeah, I mean, there's nobody around anymore that went to NLC, and we went to a couple of us back when went to a workshop on how to revitalize the economics of a city, and the major point was you've got to retain the businesses you have, and so it might be good for this council to know what we do in that area.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think our CARES Act money has focused a lot on that, so trying to help people stay put.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, just as a category. All right, anything else?
That's all I have.
I think that's all I have too. I think you hit all the, on the Sleepy Hollow thing, I think the sales tax thing will be the hard one to actually figure out, because some of that's confidential, but we certainly can look at that district, can't we, as a whole, one month to the other?
Yeah, I think that's probably the best that we can do is take the receipts that we get from September versus October in that district.
Okay.
Would be really our only way of doing that.
Okie doke. Should we, I realized last night I put a note on, but didn't suggest this, that the police reform task force is going to need some airtime. And we ought to probably look at the schedule to see where in the next month we might placehold that. I don't know what we have at this point. And
yeah, that's a great point. We actually put that in your council communication of when we plan to bring that back. I think they are 1 week behind. I mean, I think they'll need 1 additional meeting, but we should be pretty close to that schedule. So, Jade, maybe you can work with Chief Collins. Do you mind reaching out to him on that?
Yeah, and if they need another week or 2, I think everyone would prefer they do their due diligence and then figure out, let's just make sure we're keeping track of that in the scheduling here.
Yeah, but so it would definitely be tentative to your point, and so whatever we put on the council agenda, but I think your point's well taken that we should go ahead and plan for that, so even during mayor manager, we can move it around as needed.
Great. Good. All right, I think that's it from me then.
All right. Thanks.
Everybody else, this is it's now 12:32, and did somebody say something? I'm sorry. No, and this meeting is now adjourned. Have a great day, everybody.